That is the 2023 POY, or Pitcher of the Year, Dane Dunning, who was released over the weekend. Lots to talk about with regard to that. And, of course, there's lots to talk about with regard to what's happening at Globe Life. There I am. Am I back? I'm back. All right. And lots to talk about today about what happened at Globe Life Field, including the introduction of all the new foods today. So we'll get to all of that. John Radigan here with the DLLS podcast, and Jeff Wilson at Globe Life Field. And Jeff, it's been already a long but a fun day. This day is always fun to go and get to sample the new foods.
Yeah, we had fun today having all the lobster inspired dishes.
Yeah.
Plus, a couple varieties of the hot dog and that smoked wing from Hurtado Barbecue, which you and I both kind of thought was fantastic. So a lot of good stuff, and I enjoyed the spirits that I availed myself to.
Yes, sir. We'll talk about all that coming up later in the show. We will get to what Jeff has gleaned from his work in the clubhouse today as well. But we do start with the news of the weekend, really, Jeff, and we've talked about it a lot on the show. There were going to be some 40-man roster decisions, some difficult decisions that would have to be made in order to accommodate people like, Patrick Murphy or people like Adrian Hauser. And, we don't have a final roster yet, but maybe it appears that Dane Dunning was a casualty of those decisions.
Yeah, that was reportedly. These when players are placed on waivers, they're not supposed to know about it. Now some teams do take the opportunity to tell them about it, but it's supposed to be kind of a private moment. It's not something that is to be disseminated for public consumption. And it turns out that one reporter got a hold of it. Whether it was honestly, I don't know. I didn't have a chance to talk to Dane today. I mean, he's here. He's still on the 40-man roster while this process plays out. It just usually doesn't play out quite so publicly. So he's here. He threw in the simulated game that they held today at the ballpark. He took part in pitchers fielding practice, and by God, he still has a locker where he had a locker last year. So, he is going through the process right now. Now, it would appear that, I have no reason to doubt the reporting. We weren't able to talk to Dane today because he either made his timing very good when we weren't in the clubhouse, or just kind of huddled with the teammates when the reporters weren't here. And that's fine. It's an awkward situation. The only time I really remember it happening in my career, I guess kind of last year with Jankowski and Grossman at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, which I believe was my first year on the beat, Vicente Padilla got put on waivers. And that story was broken, and the Rangers were pissed. And so I can't imagine that they're very happy about this one either. But the damage is done. If Dane clears, the Rangers can outright him to AAA. And Dane, I believe, because he has a 4-year service time, I think he can refuse the assignment. He's making $2.66 million this year. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for a club to pick it up, especially with how he's performed this spring. So I think he'll clear, and then at that point it becomes, okay, he's off the 40-man roster, which is the purpose of doing it. Really, they obviously want him to stay. They want him to be depth for the rotation or for the bullpen until he gets straightened out. But right now it's a move that is one of those, end of the spring moves and decisions where you have to clear 40-man spaces. And right now, this is the way, reportedly, that the Rangers are going about it.
And it's a 48-hour process, Jeff, which, according to those same reports, do we know when it started When does this 48 hours expire?
Well, that's just it. We don't know any of that. So,
Yeah.
you hope it's, if it happened yesterday, which is when the news broke, then Dane's got to get through tomorrow, and we'll have resolution then. But, it's, it is quick and it'll move swiftly from there. But the roster, the opening day roster, I think it's due at either 10 a.m. Central or 11 a.m. Central on opening day. And at that point, MLB has to have a roster submitted to it, and those are the guys they'll go in there with. Chris Young said Saturday that it probably won't be until Wednesday till they make their final decisions. Now, a lot of them, like the Rangers, know who they want. It's just a matter of how they're gonna manage the 40-man roster and preserve the depth. I really thought that Adrian Hauser had a chance to make the team, and he was told he very likely won't be on it. I think if there's an injury or something, then he would be the next man up in the rotation. But the Rangers, because of the option rules in place, the Rangers can't recall anybody from the minor leagues until April 11th if they need a roster spot. Okay. So they have to select the contract of a non-roster player. So that's part of the reason why Adrian Hauser got sent down, because if the Rangers need an arm, they can't get somebody on option. They have to get a non-roster guy. So they would have to. That's what they would want Hauser at that point. So that's why Hauser. One of the reasons why Hauser was not selected for the opening day roster. So it's crazy stuff, and there's a lot of that's going to be happening here in the next 48 hours.
But of course, in that case, if they do need Hauser at some point before April 11th, they'll still have to clear a spot on the 40-man roster for him.
Correct. Yeah, I mean it's a mess.
Yeah,
and they don't want to. All right, there as of right now, there are two guys who'd be like, all right, 60-day injured list, open up 2 spots. One of them is Cody Bradford, and Chris Young said the Rangers really want to avoid doing that in case he's able to be on the short end of all these recovery times. Cody told me the other day 4 to 6 weeks of no throw. All right, now obviously they're all hoping for 4, but then from there it's 4 to 6 weeks to build up. Now, would they do the short part just to get him on the roster and let him build up in the major leagues? Or would they do the 6 to allow him to get fully built up so that when he is done with the process, he can be a starter and go 6 or 7 innings. So so there's no guarantee that Cody's going to get put on the 60. Jose Corniel is the other one. Well, Jose Corniel, he's not going to pitch until at least July, but the Rangers would have to place him on the major league roster, okay, and then put him on the 60-day DL. So they would be starting his service clock, and he would start making major league money. So I mean, there's a lot involved here. So those really aren't desirable options for the Rangers at this point. They would rather carry those guys, even though they aren't going to pitch for a while. So then you're cutting into really, we're talking about Justin Foscue, 2020 first-round pick. Cole Winn, 2018 first-round pick. You're talking really guys that have some upside and are talented guys, and you start getting rid of them, and you really start getting rid of your depth. So there's some really hard decisions that are coming up, but it looks like the Rangers are going to need at least 2 40-man spots. But really, it may just be the one if they can't figure out how to get everything worked out the way they need to get it worked out.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time, and you'd hope that so much more of this could be done. And certainly, if those 2 guys hadn't gotten hurt, likely it would have been closer to being done. But in this case, you got 2 guys who are unavailable. So everything moves forward and everything moves up, and you have to go through things like this. Other news on the day that came out this morning, great news for the Rangers' perennial best position player, all-star, World Series MVP 2 times. Corey Seager and his wife, Jeff, have announced that they are expecting. So they will join the ranks of all those other guys you've mentioned over the days and years who have kids and families.
Yeah, well, apparently that comes with some calf soreness because Corey's not playing today because he has a sore calf. So Bruce Bochy assured us it's nothing to worry about. Got little TR on my shoulder telling me not to underestimate the serious nature of a spring training injury. But it sounds like this one's going to be okay. But yeah, congratulations to Corey and Maddie. Corey comes from he has two brothers, both older brothers. He's the youngest, so he comes from a family of 3 kids, and I'm not familiar with Maddie's family tree, but it's time. They're both right about 30 in that age group. It's time to start knocking them out.
Yeah, and Corey and Maddie have dated at least some since high school. So, they're A, the same age, and B, they've known each other a long time. So this is great, and we do offer a hearty congratulations to them. And, as I always say, when people are a little older, as they get ready to have their first child, I kind of hope there's twins. But they probably don't. But I'm just saying, I kind of hope there's twins. Get this family started off right. And other news today, because I've been on Twitter all afternoon trying to help people as much as I can. Jeff, sent a few people my way because he saw me on the way out today from the food deal. I wanted to stop by and bend the ear of Angie Swint, who is he's done an unbelievable job putting this Rangers network, this Rangers sports network together. We had a long talk about that, and I can share some details about the nuts and bolts of the network at some point. But first things first, this problem with DirecTV, it's a problem about which the Rangers are completely uninformed. They've not heard it. I mean, they're not trying to dodge this. Rob Matwick, who's one of the vice presidents of the organization, he walked up and Angie said, "Rob, don't you have DirecTV at home?" He said, "Yeah, I've been watching the games." And I said, "Have you tried it on the DirecTV stream?" And he said, "No, I just hit 677. Now, in my case, I have the stream and the dish, and I hadn't been in the location where the dish was for any of my previous attempts, both of which were unsuccessful. I am now there. I've clicked on it, and I hit 677, with my remote for my DirecTV. Because when I stream it, I of course mine is a Fire Stick, and there's no numbers on a Fire Stick, so you can't just type in 677. So here I type in 677, and it says Rangers versus Royals coming up. And right now on that channel, because we know they don't have a program this time of day, right now there's just a DirecTV slate and music playing. So I'm optimistic that here on my set with the dish today, I'll be watching the Rangers tonight. That said, I'll have to go to the other place and try it on the stream. As I say, Angie's not aware that any of this is happening. I would encourage our viewers to reach out to the Rangers through that TuneIn, website that they've got, rangers.com/tunein, perhaps, wherever you can find it, and send them a note to let them know, hey, I have DirecTV, because a couple people have hit me back on Twitter saying they've got the dish, the whole thing, and they can't get 677. Angie told me definitively, without question, it is supposed to be there for any DirecTV customer. I don't even, for sure, those who have had Bally, but I don't even think that was necessary. I mean, I think it's for everybody who has DirecTV. So if you're not getting it, let the Rangers know, and I will keep I'll keep checking with Angie and others who work in the TV department to make sure we can get this thing figured out. I have a vested interest, for God's sake. I've got DirecTV and the DirecTV stream.
Hey, John, real quick, I've had some responses on the Twitter that if you have the lower tier of D stream, it's not on the lower tier. So if you have the other 3 tiers, you're good. But if you have the lower tier, apparently it is not on the lower tier. Now, I don't know if that's what the problem is, but that seems to be a prevailing thought here from people who are experiencing or have
similar
done
problem. Yeah. I to be honest, when I first started streaming, I had some issues getting it set up at the other place, and I was on with DirecTV, and I said to them, will I be able to watch everything I can watch on my dish that I can watch on the stream? They said everything. So I don't know which tier I have, and I'll certainly upgrade if I have the lower tier. But I hope that now I've actually clicked on this channel with my dish, then I can go back to the other place and have it on the stream. But anyway, it's ongoing. We'll be keeping you updated. The Rangers will not stand for this, not for long, man. They had enough of this stuff with Bally, so they're going to make sure that that this is done right and this gets done right. So anyway, we're a little overdue for a spot, but we just wanted to get that out in the air. Next up, we'll go in more in depth about what we saw at the food stuff today. There's some pictures, there's some reviews, there's some talk about it. Also, as Jeff mentioned, you know, we may be catching Jeff post-nap after the number of drinks he availed himself to. So we'll see, you know, bleary-eyed Jeff here in just a minute as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast. And speaking of props, though, first, like the prodigal son himself, my Shady Rays have returned, baby.
Baby.
And, you know, there's a little sun in this room I'm in, so I could almost use them for the show today. But greatest glasses. I mean, I just really, you know, I'm just not being.
Oh, man. Anyway, Shady Rays, so good. You can go to shadyrays.com. You can use I believe the code is a DLLS, and you get 35% off a pair of new Shady Rays. Check them out because you can get them in a variety of colors. They're polarized. And as John Radigan, you know, he's got a giant head. So they really, they fit all kinds of faces. John, I'm finishing up Game Time, or not Game Time, but Shady Rays, and I just made fun of your head.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got a big head.
Yeah. So anyway, polarized sunglasses, affordable, durable, and 35% off with the code DLLS. So have at it, folks. Now on Game Time, which is our favorite app, your good friend Nicole, maybe you should get her some Shady Rays.
Maybe I can. Yeah.
Anyway, if you use the code DLLS, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. As we know, opening day is Thursday, and by God, there are a number of tickets available at Game Time. I'm looking at some right now, and $93. We're down under $100 now. I mean, it's not the best seat in the house, granted, but you can look at what the view looks like, because that's what something Game Time does. It lets you see your seat and what your angle is going to be. And that ticket price is all in pricing, so there are no hidden fees at the end. So download the Game Time app, use the code DLS, and you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Yeah, it's a great app, and we encourage it. I encourage family members to use it instead of one of the other ones yesterday, because they were going to get charged $120 were going to be the nuisance fee. I know. I just said, no. Go to Game Time. And they did. They got them. They actually, ironically, they got tickets to Bert Kreischer, you know, the comedian who does his thing shirtless and all that. And they were $93, same price. So, but that was maybe that's what everything costs on Game Time. But anyway, we love Game Time. So that was during the break spot there. That was Angie calling me. So we'll check. We'll check with her. And I just guess you can't. I didn't take the call. I was just trying to decline it. I guess you can't, or it knocks you off the stream. Anyway, back to this stuff today about the food day, and we've got some you know, things out here on YouTube that you can watch. You know, we call it a video on demand, VOD, and go check out our VOD because we'll show you what we did about 5 or 6 different things that we taste tested. And you know, Jeff, out of all of them, the only one, and I loved really so many of them. We only rated a couple lowly. The only thing I wish we had done, when I see a few pictures other people have put up, we never got to that big pop-up potato.
Yeah, there's the potato and there's the burrito
the big burrito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love a burrito. But it was like a slice of burrito. It looked kind of like a pinwheel, so I wasn't sure about it. So anyway, plus it had pico on it, and I'm not a big tomato guy. But
but that burrito, it's called a boomstick burrito, and it's our little screen's not even long. It's long. It'll feed a whole family, and it looks very worthy. I mean, the guy, who from the Rangers, the Delaware North, their food service company, he held up the tortilla that they used to make that burrito, and let's just put it this way, Jeff, it's bigger than my head.
Wow.
Yeah, bigger than my head.
Wow, so that's a big tortilla.
That's a big tortilla. Yeah, that's a big old tortilla. So anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I always enjoy it. Every year this is a good day to come out and see people who you hadn't seen in a while, and kind of taste some foods. We don't eat a lot of non-press box foods.
No, that's right.
We don't get a lot of the hot dogs. I have availed myself to Hurtado on occasion, and other places if the meal doesn't look right, or up in the press box, which we had to pay for. It's not free food, mind you. Anyway, so I would definitely do the Hurtado smoked wings. I really, looking back on the day, I thought the lobster mac and cheese was really good. I think those were 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and we talked about it on our hit that we did for VOD, and it's a little odd, honestly. It's a little odd that we have lobster mac and cheese at this ballpark, right? I mean, if you're in Boston or even New York, you're near the water or whatever. If you're near the water in one of the Floridas, but lobster here. But I tell you what, it worked. It really worked, and it's good lobster and the mac and cheese. I mean, it's always been great there. So I like that. Now, the only thing we actually didn't like that well was the lobster nachos, because they were. To me, I want a nacho to be spicy. And so you put lobster meat on there, that's going to be just kind of sweet, or even just bland, if you will, as opposed to something that's a little more spicy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't gross or anything.
No, it was very edible.
A low rating for us on a scale of 5 was 3. So I mean, we're not giving it a 0.5 or something.
No, we're grading on a curve here. Yeah,
but I just kind of think when I think of nachos, I'm like, oh, okay, boy, I'd sure like some steak or some chicken. What about lobster? Anyway, but if you like the lobster and you like chips and you like white queso, have at it, baby, because it tasted fine. It really did.
Yeah. And it looks like some follower, watcher from DirecTV is reaching out to us. So we may have a few answers here before too long. So that's good. That's why we get this out there, for the world, so that we can get some answers for our diehards and our people that are listening and watching and chatting with us every day. Keep the chatting coming, if you would. We've surpassed 1,000 diehards, so we'd love to see you. Yeah, was it 1,000? Yeah, 1,000.
1,000.
And we're killing it with the number of subscribers. But if you haven't done that, please do. It's free, and subscribe, and we'll that way you'll know.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's subscribing. That's subscribing to our YouTube channel. You diehards, you do have to pay, but if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then there are more notices for things like this, where we had to adjust the time today. And time will be a little bit of a moving target throughout the course of the week as we weave our way through the final days now, Jeff, of off season. And as we do that, we'll adjust. You'll adjust, and we appreciate you. Now, let's go to the drinks. Because there we are. Look at us standing up over there. Neither of us were double fisting yet, but by the end of the session, Jeff, we were double fisting it.
We sure were. So I don't know if they have more than these two, or if these were the only two that they're offering, but the Texas lemonade, or hard lemonade, or some kind of lemonade, and then that was the Lone Star lemonade, and then it was
Lone Star lemonade.
It was the Texas Shandy. Okay, so the Lone Star lemonade is made with Tito's vodka and lemonade, right? There's a simple syrup in there, and it was good. It was good. You preferred that one, John.
I did. And by the way, it was smoking, because
that's right.
They had a little sprig of what we believe is rosemary, not wacky tobacco. We don't know. I mean, well, we know it wasn't wacky tobacco. We don't know what it was. It was rosemary, we think, and they light it with a little high pressure
blowtorch. Yeah,
a little blowtorch, tiny blowtorch, and so you get a little smoke to it. So that was kind of cool. And yeah, I definitely preferred that. And part of it is because, as we both talked about, you couldn't taste the vodka, which is good for me.
I got a little vodka at the end, but I, on the other hand, preferred the Texas Shandy, which is simple syrup, Jack Daniels, orange juice, and a Carback beer. I believe their Love Street beer. And it was good. It was so good, I had another one. So I had 3 drinks. That's fine. In about 8 minutes. I think that's reasonable. I did not drive. I went straight up to the press box and watched Patrick Corbin throw a simulated game. Not sure if that's what gave me the headache or not, but anyway, everything's good, So anyway, avail yourself. Yeah, I would like to have one of those drinks later on in the season, or I'm going to try to make one on my own, because it was pretty good.
And that Love Street is my favorite of the Carbacks. It's a very, very tasty, very smooth lager, and of course Jack Daniels is Jack Daniels. So but we thought that the idea was that that drink was going to taste like a creamsicle, but it didn't.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
It did not, which is okay.
There is a drink that the Rangers don't have called a lunchbox, which is a Bud Light, a shot of amaretto, and orange juice, and it's fantastic, and it does taste like a creamsicle.
Really?
Oh
okay.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, I just see the DirecTV people responded, and all I could see is a part of the tweet, and they said, "You guys are right." So I like a tweet, Jeff, that starts that way. We're right, and we'll look at that, and we'll let you know tomorrow or the next day how right we are. But we're going to work through this TV thing together and make sure that everybody can see opening day. That's my goal, is to make sure nobody has to miss opening day this year. So anyway, more coming. Jeff kind of teased it right there with the next segment coming up. We got a couple of simulated games to talk about. Jeff talked briefly about the Dane Dunning one. More on that. Also, that simulated game that was thrown by Patrick Corbin as the Rangers get their first look in person at him, and other news of this day, because I saw Jeff. I'm not sure if I just know that Jeff and Boch were sitting right next to each other, and I think Boch was asking for Jeff's advice, but we'll find out if he was.
He was.
It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Typically when we're in studio, we have help behind us on our sets from Foco.
Yeah.
Foco.com, DLLS. If you use that code, you get 10% off. Foco is all sorts of things for sports fans, whether it's knickknacks like you see there, bobbleheads and pennants and things of that sort, or clothes that you can wear to the ballpark or football field or basketball arena, hockey rink. Really, and it's a wide variety for like every team out there. You can name your favorite team. Dallas Cowboys, lots of Cowboy stuff, lots of Rangers stuff.
Yeah.
Mavs and Stars, beyond the scope of the Metroplex. There's Bronco stuff, as we know, we've talked about. Still need to see John in those Detroit Lions overalls.
Yep.
And it's going to happen. I have a good feeling about this. So anyway, trust us on this. FOCO makes great stuff. Go there, foco.com. Use the code DLLS for 10% off. And we continue to thank them for their support with our shows.
We do indeed, and we tell you to do the same thing with Rugged Road, and you'll get that same 10% off. But that'll actually likely be a larger number. That 10% is a little larger because it is a cooler that costs a little more, and it's worth every penny. Made so well, let your adventure begin with a Rugged Road cooler, as you can take these things anywhere. They're so light. You want to take it camping? No problem. Fishing? No problem. Not only is it easy to carry to the fishing hole, you can toss it right in the water with you. Like if you're wearing the hip waders and all that and fishing or surf casting, something like that, put the Rugged Road right next to you. You can either store your fish in there or you can store the drinks that you may want to have while you're fishing in there. It's a great cooler. We can't say it enough. DLLS is the code to use at ruggedroad.com and get 10% off your Rugged Road cooler. Okay, so today already been a pretty busy day, Jeff, and I was glad, to see you were the first that I saw tweeted out about the fact that Dane, was actually there. He's still on the 40-man while this plays out, and that he was throwing a simulated game today.
Yeah, it was one long simulated game. Patrick Corbin pitched 5 innings, and when he wasn't pitching, relievers came in and did their thing, and a lot of guys who you've heard of, and some guys who are going to be on the opening day roster, and so anyway, but Corbin was the one who you're looking out for. 5 innings. I think I saw 4 of them. He did in his last inning, as he got to 75 pitches, give up a 2-run homer to Alan Trejo and a hard double to Jonah Heim. But he got his work in, and now the Rangers kind of have a baseline. He wasn't facing Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. He was facing some minor league guys, including a couple who haven't played above Double-A, but there were some guys who getting major league at bats against him. Kevin Pillar, for instance, did that, and Corbin did fine. Now, what does that mean going forward? Bochy said that the Rangers are going to get with him tomorrow. Mike Maddox has a plan for what they'll want to see from him. He is on the 40-man roster, so he's going to have to hit the injured list with some shoulder fatigue or something, because the Rangers are going to want to have that spot available to them. So maybe one or two starts in the minors. But I tell you what, if this rotation ends up filling out the way we think it will with Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, I sure would like to see that more than once or twice. If you're gonna, unless it's just atrocious, like awful, then you gotta maybe make some changes and get Hauser in or Patrick Corbin. He's not throwing terribly hard right now, but a lot of that is because he hasn't really had to. He hasn't been in a game situation. He's been throwing at, some little backfield in Florida, bullpen on Tuesdays and live batting practice on Fridays. And these guys really do need the adrenaline. It makes a big difference when you're in a stadium and fans are watching you, and the lineup is tough. Your blood gets going a little bit more. Your adrenaline starts going, and you start exerting more than you think you're doing. You start throwing harder. It's just things like that. And I'm no scout, and where our seat is in the press box, it's extremely high. So I can't tell you any of the pitch movements or anything like that. But I did see a lot of weak contact. So I think that's a good sign. I think it's a decent first impression. for him, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But Sean Armstrong pitched, the right-hander. I think he gave up a hit in his inning. Hobie Milner, I saw in the chat some people were wondering about poor old Hobie who struggled, but he pitched a perfect inning. He seemed to have no trouble at all with the guys he faced. So, spring training, these guys who know their stuff and know their bodies and have done this for a while, they kind of know when when it's go time. And I think Hobie is kind of, it hasn't been great. If the other day, the last time he pitched, when he gave up a bunch of runs, that wasn't good. And I think that was in the last spring game. They brought him in and the Royals rallied. It needs to be better. But if today was what you're going to see in the regular season, then that's pretty good home stuff from him.
Yeah, and to your point about the adrenaline thing, Jeff, and as it specifically pertains to Hobie Milner in this case, they always say, I've heard Boch say this multiple times, put that third deck on there and things change too, right? Even for guys who have been doing it for a long time, you're in spring training, man. It's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. And they get into a stadium like Globe Life or any of them, but basically any place there's a third deck. And they go, okay, I'm in the big time. And the body, it's just an amazing, the brain respond. And so maybe that's some of what you see out of Hobie Milner. And it might just be, the survival instincts as well. If he had that bad outing on that last time out, he's like, okay, I better do this or I may not survive. We think he will under any circumstances. As we now talk through all this and the guys who are on the mound today, Jeff, and the guys we still expect to be available for the two games, especially as it pertains to the bullpen, who needs to do the best? Who needs to show out? Who can still really affect the decisions that are going to be made, in the next 72 hours?
Yeah, when it comes to the bullpen, there's two spots available, and
right.
We've thought for the longest time, and I was told as recently as a week ago that Dane Dunning was on the team. So I mean, things change, and it is a performance-based deal even in spring training. They say spring stats don't matter, and that's fine, okay, but the stuff matters. And anyway, so Dane's out. All right, so that leaves Patrick Murphy, who's a non-roster guy, who's done nothing but impress. He can give length. I think now, just kind of reading between the tea leaves of what Chris Young said the other day, I believe Jacob Latz has a chance to make this team. He was optioned out of camp early because he had some back issues and hadn't been able to log any innings. Well, he's doing that now. He's pitching multiple innings. He's on the 40-man. All right, that's a huge thing. He's on the 40-man. I also think Mark Church is in play. Chris Young. It was an interesting response to my question. Is Mark Church still competing? I guess was the gist of it. He said yes. And then he created this mattress for Mark. He was like, Mark's been very, very good, and whenever he gets his chance, he was going to be in some situations he's never been in, and it may not look good. And he was like, and then he finally said, I try to let fans have realistic expectations for rookies because it's just things are going to happen that they've never experienced before. So it sounds like he's getting more consideration, even though he's never pitched on back-to-back days in his career. So I guess there are ways to manipulate it. He can get more than 3 outs. I don't think they'd want him to get any more than 6. But I think he's in play too. So, and then, it's important to note that, and Bruce Bochy said this a couple times, that just because somebody gets sent out doesn't mean that they are out of the picture. Garrison Garabito sent out. He's the John Gray injury happens, and who's back in camp? Garabito. He pitched the other day, wasn't great. granted, but still, he's on the 40-man and has options. So I'd say those are are four of the guys off the top of my head. The rotation's done. Leiter and Kumar Rocker are going to be in the rotation. Hasn't been announced yet, but just looking at everything, you know, Jack is pitching after Evaldi, so Jack will start on Friday, and Kumar, who's going to pitch tomorrow after Jacob deGrom, will probably pitch the Monday game at Cincinnati. So that's the way I'm reading things, at least. Hauser still has an outside chance, I think, but again, he's not on the 40. So darn it, it's a tough one. And Corbin is on the 40, and so they haven't completely ruled out him being available Thursday, but Bruce Bochy did say it was unlikely.
Yeah, and so along those lines, because I'm with you, and I would think that maybe the Rangers are too, right? Especially if Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker go out there and just perform well, right? Just do what they've been asked to do and do it well. You know, let the results be what they may. If they go out and do their jobs in these first one or two starts, now Patrick Corbin comes back. He hasn't spent a lot of time in the bullpen previously, but he has spent some. And could we foresee a circumstance where Corbin would be plugged into one of those long relief roles, and, you know, Rocker and Leiter would both stay in the rotation?
You know, I suppose everything's on the table at this point. Yeah, I think, you know, it's important to note, too, that Patrick Corbin's only making $1 million, okay?
Yeah.
He's barely making more than the major league minimum. So that's not going to be like a terrible amount of money to eat. You know, if it's not very good, or if it's decent, but, you know, these other two guys are better and you need a roster spot, it's not gonna be you know, the end of the world if you have to say, all right, Patrick, thanks for your contributions. You can go home now to your newborn son. The son was born Thursday, by the way. Name is Warner. I did not ask if he's a big Kurt Warner fan, but Patrick has 3 boys. He seems like a terrific guy. You know, kind of the guy you'd expect the Rangers to sign. Somebody who just fits in real and is a real nice guy. But again, he has work to do. You know, when you get, if you and we had these concerns early on before camp and throughout the offseason, you know, Kumar Rocker is an interesting innings case, you know, because he didn't pitch much last year, and he hasn't pitched a lot for a long time, and he sure as hell hasn't gone through a full, even minor league season. You know, a college season is half of a minor league season. So, you know, how many innings are the Rangers going to let him go ahead and throw? Leiter, you know, he threw probably about 100 innings last year between the big leagues and the minors. So there's still probably some concerns about him too. Anyway, so even with all these, you know, if they're healthy bodies, they're still going to need some long relievers behind them. And so it's a juggling act right now. It really is. They know it'll be Evaldi, somebody, Molly, deGrom, somebody. So they feel good about those 3 guys. Obviously, you feel great about Evaldi, and if deGrom's healthy, you have the best pitcher in the world. And they liked Molly so much that they went ahead and signed him for a 2-year contract, knowing he wasn't going to pitch for him barely any last season. So we'll see how they perform, but they're pretty critical to this whole thing now.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, he becomes even more critical, and it seems like he has embraced that pressure, for lack of a better word, and good for him. And that's what guys do. That's what major league guys in particular do. We got lots more coming up as we will wrap this show up. Jeff's got a game to cover, and we'll wrap this one up with our batting cleanup segment next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Mentioned it earlier, there's 1,000 diehards now. Why don't you make yourself 1,001? I guess that's 1001, because it'd be awesome. And everybody who has done it, none of them have complained, right? They're all like, oh man, this was great. I'm glad I did this. I think the Dallas area ended up leading all the other regions for the number that we added during the course of the sale that they had. But it's worth it.
We rallied. All right.
Yeah, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it even without the sale price. It's awesome. It's you'll love it. Jeff's writing now pretty much every day, and of course the Stars are so good. They're headed towards what they hope will be a Stanley Cup run. The Mavericks obviously aren't very good right now, but they're very newsworthy. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah.
And by the way, it looks like AD Anthony Davis is coming back tonight, so you'll want to see what our guy Tim Cato has to say about that. Yeah, everybody who writes for us, and then of course the Cowboys guys. Clarence Hill, been in the market forever. Joseph Hoyt, been in the market for a long time. We have pros writing for us. You'll find their stuff on DieHard, if you become a DieHard, and you'll get 20% off all events, including our upcoming golf tournament, which is on April 25th at Stevens Park.
That's right, the Augusta of Dallas. Looking forward to
that.
You're dang
right. Yeah,
I've never played there, so I really truly am looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
When you become a diehard, you get a free T-shirt. John and I are not modeling the merch today, but believe me, we got it in droves. If you've watched the show before, you know that. Anyway, they're great. They're great T-shirts. The sweatshirts are very good. It's not the only merch you can get, though. You can get I think you can get shot glasses, you can get coffee cups, you can get beer steins, you can get flags. Hats are coming, by God, and we got new shirts coming that John and I are going to have to buy, and they're pretty sharp. I really like the heck out of those. So anyway, store.ALLCITY Network, that's where you can do your shopping. They deliver super fast, U.S. based, out of the Miami area. You can order on a Monday, and I think you can have it by a Friday. So go ahead and again, get your merch at store.allcitynetwork.com.
Yes. All right. So it's time for our cleanup segment, and we begin really with a very sad story. Although it's a sad story of a man who lived an unbelievably good and long life, and that is the very first announcer, the first play-by-play announcer for the Texas Rangers back in their inaugural season in 1972. Bill Mercer died yesterday. Bill, of course, announced everything in this area over his time as really one of the pioneers of broadcasting in this area, but then ultimately landed at North Texas, where he became a god, a mentor of so many, pretty much everybody that you hear on the ticket, everybody that you hear. I mean, you've got people you hear on national broadcasts all the time. They will tell you it was Bill Mercer that trained them how to do what they do, including, George Dunham and Craig Miller, who have been stalwarts on the ticket for all these years. Rich Phillips, who does the SMU basketball games. Our Mavs play-by-play guy, Mark Followell, saw a picture of him doing, I look like he was probably doing color as a student with Bill Mercer way back in the day. So, and, I've had an opportunity to meet Bill and way back in the day, spoke at his class a couple of times, and very, very good man, and stayed very alert and very, very happy until his 99th year. And I know those guys for whom he is a mentor. We're hoping he'd make it to 100. 100 just seems pretty damn cool. But he almost did, and but he leaves such a long legacy. And I know the thing he was most proud of is his daughters and his granddaughters and his great granddaughters, who called him Tutu. So anyway, rest in peace, Bill Mercer.
Yeah, I believe I met him when I covered North Texas, 20 years ago. And started hearing about all the people who North Texas has produced and his class has produced. Eric Nadel did not take classes from him because Eric is from New York, and that led to this little interesting fact. Eric, growing up in New York, was a Jets fan and listened to Super Bowl III, and Bill Mercer was the Jets play-by-play guy. Then he moved around. He became the Rangers play-by-play guy. He went from the Rangers to the White Sox. A lot of people know him for his work with the Von Erich family, and
Yes.
as the wrestling announcer for that regional circuit. He's portrayed in the movie about the family. Bill's a character in the movie, not a big one, but nevertheless,
Yeah.
he's in there.
Still, yeah.
And so he did Cowboys. I mean, he did it all. And Eric said that he really should be in the get the MLB award that Eric received, the Frick Award from the Hall of Fame, just because of his contributions to baseball broadcasting. So there's a lot of history to learn about him. Very fun hearing Eric just spit out these facts about him, and pretty cool. So quite a legacy and that he's left, but a lot of people who are going to be carrying it on in our area.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Eric about it today. I did see his tweet though, and Eric also considers Bill a mentor. And remember, when Eric took over the Rangers job, he was a hockey announcer, right? He had been doing hockey for years and years, both in Michigan and here in Texas. So, baseball wasn't necessarily his thing. And so I'm certain Bill, who was no longer a part of the broadcast at that point, but was still in the area and was certainly, so well known because of what he had done. And then his time at North Texas, that Eric no doubt sought his advice and sought his mentorship. And so he leaves that legacy of that Ford Frick winner as well. So a really cool story and really, really great life lived by a guy. I love a story that Junior Miller tells because he was like a poet on the air, Bill. And so he said that one time Bill was brought, Craig's doing a game. That's the great thing. Students got to do a game with the great Bill Mercer, and it was just like your life to do that. And they're doing a football game, and there was a chip shot field goal. And so he said, Bill sees it. They line up, the snap, and Bill's looking for, something over here, not really looking at the play for the moment. And he goes, and the snap is back, and the kick is up, and like an arrow through the heart of Cupid as a lover, it's blocked! It's blocked! It's blocked! So it's just a lesson, right? First of all, don't look away. But secondly, if you do, make sure that you're as able to respond as Bill Mercer was. So just a great, funny story and a great man. And he'll be missed. All right. So he has huge baseball ties. How about this, Jeff? How about the state of the game right now? The Chicago White Sox have had 6 pitchers get Tommy John surgery this spring. As bad as they were, God bless them, last year, the worst ever. They had 6 guys get Tommy John surgery. And I know that's the thing we've talked about many times with regard to, Keith Meister talking about the pressure that all these spin rates and everything are putting on the elbow, and they're just blowing out with regularity.
Yeah, and of course, the White Sox are awful, but they have done a good job here rebuilding their farm system. But when you have one of these, it puts a kink in that. When you have 6 of them, good God, that's people always thought the Rangers were doing terrible with that, especially that stretch it had with Cole Winn and then Owen White and dang it, I see his face right now. Anyway, we'll pass on his name, but that stretch right there, and here's another one. Oh, Cole Reagan's had to have a second one.
Yeah.
In that stretch, saw him throwing a bullpen session today. He's going to be the Royals opening day starter. So anyway, it's not just the Rangers. It's every team. Every team goes through this, and some of them go through it a lot worse than others. And that's a unfortunate for a team trying to build from within and do it the right way. And a team that really needs all the fortune it can get, all the good fortune it can get. Didn't need this to happen.
Yeah, it makes our heart hurt a little bit for our buddy Will Venable, who's who's there and doing his level best, but there's only so much you can do, and you really do hope that management and ownership, for that matter, will cut him a little slack when the details, right? The real life circumstances that exist in trying to rebuild an organization, rebuild a franchise to its once upon a time glory that certainly the White Sox have had over the years. They're one of the old teams, but they haven't had it in a minute, and they certainly didn't share any of that last year. All right, since it's baseball season, I watch, or I get on Twitter, I follow somebody who shows pictures of great ballparks. And there's just so many, obviously, out there. But you want to talk about, if we build it, they will come. Take a look at the Appalachian State baseball stadium. Look at that thing. Oh, my gosh. That might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen right there, Jeff.
That's pretty sharp. Obviously, that's taken in the fall, but nevertheless, beautiful. Appalachian State, Boone, North Carolina. This is the home of Brian Estridge, the TCU play-by-play man. Went to App State, and Aggie fans remember that App State went into College Station and beat him a couple of years ago. And John, you're a Michigan guy, so you remember App State's big win in the Big House. I don't know, 20 years ago now. And what a big deal that was. So, hey, they're inspired by their surroundings, perhaps.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That looks absolutely beautiful. All right. And speaking of stadiums, I've already seen the pictures. Jeff, you're there. Roof open tonight. Yes?
Yes. No. And I don't like it. It's
okay.
Open, and I dislike it.
I
just like an
open
roof. Yeah. And then I get a lot of crap about this because I always, tweet my displeasure. For one reason, it gets windy up in the press box. We are barely below airliner level, and so the wind's always swirling and stuff's blowing everywhere, and it can get really cold when that wind blows. So we've already established I'm not a cold guy. I'm not ashamed of it. I was sitting yesterday at my son's baseball tournament in 2 blankets, and I had to go to the car finally. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm too cold. I got to go to the car." She's like, "You're kidding me." I was like, "No, I'm not." And I'm not ashamed. I seek warmth. I like to be warm. So I'm against the roof being open. And I know a lot of people think I'm an idiot, but that's okay. You're not alone.
Yeah, get in line. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew you loved the roof, obviously for the rain and all that. But I thought, like most, the view, the sight lines, it's beautiful. You admit that in that park when that roof is open.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. It is nice. Our Abby tweeted that there's a 40% chance of rain Thursday, so they may not be able to open the roof depending on when the weather moves through.
Yeah, they did not commit to opening the roof on opening day at that event that we were at earlier today. That said, and this was the vice president of the venue operations, but that said, he wants to, right? Of course. For opening day, and the temperatures are going to be great. You'd love to have it open, but they have to let, obviously, Mother Nature be the guide on that, and so they will. They'll do whatever Mother Nature basically tells them to do, like a good person. Jeff, they'll do what their mom tells them. Mother Nature.
That's right.
In this case.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm gonna stay for the game. It's not gonna prevent me from staying, but I won't be my happiest if I
get it.
Yeah,
I get it. And so, of course, we'll be watching Twitter for your information that comes from there, anything that might happen after the game. And also, I'm going to return this call from Angie, and I'm going to check on what the DirecTV people said. So keep an eye on my Twitter as well, and we'll see if we can get the answers for you, maybe even before tonight's game begins, about how to watch this thing on DirecTV. So that's it for our show today. We appreciate you very much. We've had a fun day, and we hope you had fun watching as much as we had fun talking. And we'll talk to you again Wednesday, I guess. We have
That's right. We're off tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we have a weird off day in the middle of the week, but then we'll be there Wednesday through Sunday. next week because we start doing pre and post game Thursday and then another pre and post game on Sunday. Normally it's just getaway day. This week we get 2. Anyway, we'll talk to you Wednesday at noon on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.